From the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Sometimes in sports and in life, you just know it when you see it, and you don't really have to overthink it that much to really understand. And I think with Carson Wentz, you can see very, very easily in his first two games that his future is just as bright as it gets. Welcome back to the Sports Vault, everyone. Jersey Joe Archino back here. And obviously, after 2 weeks of play in the NFL, one of the biggest names, one of the biggest storylines has been the play of Carson Wentz, which has just been stellar. I mean, I really look at him, and in his first game against the Browns, of course, it's against the Browns. It's at home. He had a lot of good circumstances around him to help him win that game. But I think sometimes you just need to look at it as it is. And when I saw Carson Wentz in that game, I saw command, I saw poise, I saw him at the line not being afraid to change things, to move guys, to try out different things. And I think you heard it during the broadcast last night, everybody talking about how much faith they put in him, how much trust they give him. And there's a reason for that. I mean, to be able to come in the NFL and digest NFL language, NFL concepts, NFL schemes, that's usually the thing that holds up people. And I remember when Cam Newton was coming into the NFL, a reporter flat out asked him, "What's the thing you're struggling with the most?" And he said flat out it was the concepts. It was understanding NFL playbooks and schemes and reading defenses. And I think last season, where you saw was by far Cam Newton's best season, he's finally really reading the game at his best level. He's able to now manipulate safeties just with his eyes or with his arm. And Carson Wentz has been able to do things like that. I mean, there was a play last night where he pump faked to move a safety, and then he was able to get a great pass out there. Little things like that this early is such a good indicator of what a guy is going to be able to do. And the mere fact that, again, alone, I think right away, I always watch a young quarterback to see how he looks at the line. Does he look poised? Does he look composed? Does he look organized? Can he get his guys in the right place? If the clock is running down quickly, can he change a play? And we've seen all those things from Carson Wentz right away. And look, it was really, of course, the battle between Goff and Wentz. And I wasn't really too super convinced on either quarterback. Of course, Wentz, because you don't really get to watch him too much because of his situation. And then Goff, just because California hasn't been a powerhouse in college football. His numbers were good, but just California football is just not at the top of the landscape of college football. But it's becoming clear right away. I mean, even with Goff, I think with where the Rams are right now, you could sense there's a little bit of timidness on his part, a little bit of him being a little bit of shy to get thrown right into the fire. And Carson Wentz got thrown right into it, and he has looked very, very good. Of course, last night was the big test. I mean, look, I said at the beginning, against the Browns, you kind of are still holding out and saying, all right, well, let's see him do it on the road on Monday Night Football. But the test was big. There was a lot of attention in that game. He did not disappoint. There was a little bit of a lull in that game, but he opened the game with a touchdown drive, and then, of course, after basically the second half of that game started, it was a very one-sided game, and it's just so interesting when I look at this because you look at the handful of quarterbacks in this league who've started from being rookies, and there's not a lot of guys that I can point out who've day one showed that level of command in the first game. I thought Marcus Mariota last season in week 1 against Tampa Bay was one of those guys where he showed that. I mean, I was so impressed with Marcus Mariota week 1 last season because against Tampa Bay, you could see that maturity, you could see that command, you could see the poise. And with Marcus, obviously he last season hit the big injury bug, 1-1 to start this season. I think that indicator from week 1 is why I still think Marcus Mariota has a very bright NFL career ahead of him. But Wentz, right away, every quarterback is very different. The position's the same, but every quarterback has different styles, different things that they do. And Wentz just physically, you see the mobility that he has when you watch that game last night. He's not afraid to hang in there. I think that's the thing that's going to make him one of a fan favorite once his name gets out there more, is this toughness. for a young guy like that to just stand there in the pocket, take a hit. I mean, you saw some plays last night where he's not afraid to challenge people head on. He will stand there in the pocket and take a hit to get a good throw off. It doesn't matter to him. And I think when you look at him as a whole, he's obviously a very bright kid because he's able to pick up these NFL concepts and schemes right away. He's got mobility. When I look at Carson Wentz, he really might be the prototype of the perfect modern day NFL quarterback. He's got enough mobility where he could make plays with his feet. He's got a good arm. He reads the game very well, and he's got the control at the line. I mean, I remember when Ron Jaworski, when Colin Kaepernick, before he was not doing stupid things and actually standing for things. But I remember Ron Jaworski kind of went out there and said that Colin Kaepernick might be the greatest quarterback of all time when it's all said and done. Obviously, that's never going to happen now, but his reasoning for that, I think we all understood, because when Colin Kaepernick kind of came into the scene, he had the mobility. He looked like he had a good enough arm. The things he didn't have, though, was he wasn't able to read NFL defenses well enough. He didn't have good enough command at the line. He just didn't have the football IQ to become a great quarterback. But Carson Wentz, I don't think anybody has any doubt that this kid at this level now is only going to get better. His future looks very, very bright. And again, will he be a household name? I think he will be because of the toughness that he shows. When you don't do stupid things and you represent things the right way and you're quiet and you just go out there and you do your job and you show toughness and all those other things that we value, I think it's very easy to get behind. And in this current state of the NFL, where players are kind of becoming more and more, we're kind of checking them off our list when they do something wrong, Wentz, to me, looks like the kind of guy who could become that household name. And in the NFL now, it's the game of the country. Its popularity is going to only continue to grow bigger and grow more. So players, no matter where you play, has a chance to really become a household name. And when I look at Wentz, as young as he is, and even where he played at school, not a household name, but it doesn't matter. I still think this kid has the chance to really be that face and that next guy. And look, for a long time I've thought that it was Andrew Luck, but right now, Andrew Luck just doesn't have the talent around him. Organizationally, it's a mess around him. So he's facing some really bad circumstances right now. And I think when you look at the ownership structure of the Eagles, they've really never had those problems with instability from an organizational standpoint. And that really does matter. Andy Reid was there for a very, very long time. Obviously, Chip Kelly had a couple seasons there after that. But it's a new day there, and it's the Carson Wentz age, and it looks very bright for the Philadelphia Eagles. But until the next time, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. Everyone, you can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll catch everybody the next time.